Hey guys, this is Andrew, and I'm here with my 2005 Cayenne Turbo. And the other day when I was getting on it, started giving me a little thump, 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 thump up through the center armrest. And what I found in doing a little bit of research is that that's probably the central drive shaft bearing support that's gone bad on it. And I'm going to show you guys today how to fix that for a couple bucks and about 45 minutes worth of your time. All right, so hang on. Here we go.
Okay, so here we are underneath the car, and I've removed the bracket here. It's only like 6 bolts that you have to remove. It's not a big deal. But what clued me in is I could move this thing around, and when you look at this thing, you see how that's torn right here? That's the bearing support, and that's what we're going to be fixing today. Now, you could do the factory one, and it's like $300 a parts and about $1,000 a layer because they got to pull the drive shaft down. But I'm going to show you how to do it for a couple bucks. But the first thing we need to do is we need to separate this thing and cut it away. So we're going to need a really sharp razor blade that we can get in there, and we're going to cut this material off of the bearing itself and then off of the bearing support bracket here. Now, if the bearing itself is bad, you're going to have to replace that. There's just no getting around that. But I'm feeling it, and it feels okay. The bearing here feels like it's fine. I don't hear any rattling or scratching or anything like that. When we separate this, I'll be able to spin it, and we'll be able to check it by hand. All right, I was able to separate the bracket from the bearing itself, and when I spin it, it spins fine. It feels really good. So we don't have to replace the bearing, but we need to cut this rubber away. So I've got just a straight edge razor here, and then I'm just going to cut this away, and then we'll do the same thing over on the inside of the bracket. That's the hard part, I understand.
All cleaned up. Now I gotta do the same thing on the bracket side.
Okay, we've cleaned up the inside of the bracket. There's maybe a couple spots that could have cut up a little bit better, but this is probably the hardest part of the whole job, is cleaning this part out. Just take a razor blade, take your time, cut it out as best you can, and then we're going to fill this gap with a bunch of rubber hoses, and that will be our new bearing support, and should be good. So let's go make that up. Okay, we got our 8 lengths of hose here. Now we're going to stitch them together using a bunch of zip ties. And you'll see how that all goes together here in just a second. So you can see what I'm doing is I'm zip tying around here, and then around here, and around here, and then I'm just going to finish it up. So I'm just going to stitch them all 8 together, so then I can wrap it around and insert it into that bearing. Okay, we got it all stitched together here, and left them a little bit loose to give us some wiggle room, and then we'll tighten it up and snip off the excess when we get under there. All right, so let's get back under there and put it in. Okay, I've gone ahead and stitched this up around the main bearing here, and now we're just going to slide this back onto there, and then we're going to run a couple zip ties through the hose and onto the clamp. Okay, I found that actually putting it on the bearing and then sliding the bracket doesn't work so well. So slip it into the bracket first, and I've kind of you can see I've rotated the bracket upside down, and I've zip tied through one of the hoses and around the bracket to kind of hold this in place. I'll snip this off, and I'm going to rotate it around, just make sure they're all in, and then I'll slide that whole assembly back over onto the bearing, and then we should be all set. Okay, yeah, let's get a little light on it. All right. Okay, so here I've got the hoses all assembled all the way around. I've tightened up all the zip ties. I've got 4 that go around the bracket and then through the hoses. And now I just had to slide it back. I might try lubing this up with like a little engine assembly lube or something like that, just to make it a little bit easier to slide on there. Maybe a water base like a KY or something like that might work well. Anyway, I'm going to slide it back and put it in place, and we should be good to go. Okay, it was a little the hardest part, I think, of this whole project was sliding this thing back onto the bearing. I did use a little bit of engine assembly lube to get that back on there to help lube it up. It helped. So now that that's in place, just bolt it up and we're done. Cool. Okay, we're all back installed. And when I pull on the drive shaft, it moves a little bit, but very, very little. Compared to the last time, I could move it maybe an inch. So, yeah, this is great. Super happy. Took about, 45 minutes to an hour. Hardest part was sliding it back onto the bearing. All right, have fun. If you like this, give me a thumbs up. And maybe hit subscribe for future videos. Thanks.